All right, guys, we are back. Moorpark Chamber of Commerce is online again with our chamber chat today. And I'm really excited to introduce this guest, and I've got a lot to talk with him about today. So, this is Richard Melton. He is the owner of Clean Concepts Landscape and Hardscape. He was born and raised in Camarillo and now calls Moorpark his home with his wife and 3 kids. With over 20 years of hands on experience, Richard has dedicated his career to creating outdoor spaces that reflect both beauty and function. His family operated business is rooted in strong client relationships, integrity, and a commitment to getting every detail right. Richard finds true joy in transforming backyards into places where families can gather, relax, and make memories. His passion for landscaping shines through in every project, especially when it exceeds the client's visions. And I can't show you my backyard, but I can tell you that that is 100% true. So, Richard, welcome to the show. Thanks for being on with me today.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. Excited to, be here. And, yeah, it's, cool. The weather's cooled down a little bit for us. So, I'm ready to get back out there when we get off here. No.
Yeah. Yeah. It was kind of cool. This is our first chamber chat back on with the Moorpark Chamber of Commerce. This was something we did, a little bit during the pandemic and then even beyond, where we get a chance to introduce our members of the Chamber of Commerce and talk a little bit about, how it's been a benefit to you and to your business, but also to get to know you as a person and to get to know a little bit more about your business. So if you are watching live, please comment. Let us know that you're watching live so I can give you a quick shout out. But at the same time, if you have any questions for Richard, please put those in the comments and we'll get through that. So, Richard, first question, I want to just, right out of the gate, what made you join the Chamber of Commerce? Like, what was it that kind of grabbed you and got you involved?
Community, part of that was kind of community, and wanting to get out there and kind of network. I'd been to a couple different events, that, were kind of networking events, and, the commerce was just one that it seemed like there was a close niche of, people that were in Moorpark, that, wanted to, help other people grow and build. And, I just saw it as a great growth opportunity for myself and see how I could contribute, also to the chambers. So.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I mean, you can almost feel it right away when you come into one of our events, whether it's a networking mixer or a networking breakfast, or we got our topic on tap coming up. There's just that sense of community. And as we all know, Moorpark is a small town community, small town, but big on business. And, we just enjoy having our members get engaged and get involved. And it's a benefit not only to yourself, the business and the business owner, but to our community as a whole and to our team at the chamber, because we can all help each other grow. Quick shout out to Judy. Let's see, there we go, Judy Cawthorn. Hello, Judy. Do you have any questions for Richard? Let us know. We'd love to hear from you. Again, being a part of the Chamber of Commerce is just a very unique. It's different than other chambers. I don't know if you've ever been a part or been engaged in other chambers that are a little bit bigger, different cities, whatever. But yeah, the Moorpark is super unique. Have you had experience outside of the Moorpark Chamber of Commerce with any networking?
I haven't with, as far as, commerce, events or chambers. So no, this is my first, and it was, where I wanted to kind of jump in. And I got to say, I'm glad I jumped in and, kind of head first and, meeting a lot of great people and been able to share some of the other businesses as I'm kind of working, in and out from houses, whether it's for junk removal or, a couple painters and things of that nature. But no, it's been great. It's been great.
Well, hopefully the Moorpark Chamber of Commerce is setting the bar high so that as your business continues to grow and you get out there into the other communities, again, we've set the bar high. So we'll see. Time will tell, right? Let's jump into a series of questions, just learning a little bit more about you, learning a little bit more about your business. What inspired you to turn landscaping into a lifelong career, and when did you know that it was your true calling?
So I gotta say, I started at a young age. Stole my dad's lawnmower and gas along with that. When I was 8, 10 years old, and the lawn rangers. And I can remember working it was probably about a 14-hour day, and we made $94 in that day, and we wanted to break $100, but we could not walk anymore. But no, ended up starting up uh, Dick Melton Services in college, which was a lawn care and pool business. Volunteered on a golf course out in New Zealand. Did golf courses for a while, and then at the end of the day, that I just wasn't finding. I like to, communicate with people, and although I'd meet with a golfer on a green and get to chat for a couple minutes, I wasn't getting that connection that I once had, when I was running my pool care and lawn business, and getting to change people's properties. So, I ended up working for a company, loved what I did and the connections that I built with a handful of other people, and just decided, what, it's time to, go out and get something going. And, been doing it ever since, and been loving it. Besides, the late nights, it doesn't feel like work.
Yeah. Well, and that's the key thing, right? The key word in that question was, kind of understanding your passion, right? And when you get to when you get paid for, following your passion, it's literally never work. And I feel the same way with martial arts. I feel the same way in some of the organizations that we volunteer in. It's never work when it's a passion. So you kind of glossed over this real quick, but did you mention New Zealand?
Yeah, yeah. So I part of my I went to Chico State, and part of that I had to have. I wanted to study abroad, and I ended up studying abroad in New Zealand, and I spent 4 months with my girlfriend, my wife now at the time. And spent 4 months out there. We bought a car, and I took a sports management class, and part of it you had to have like 35 hours of volunteer hours. And I said, I'm going to go to a golf course. It's beautiful out here. So sure enough, I did. And fell in love with, growing things, and the results that you got from it. So,
So you had a
yeah.
background in did you say sports management?
Sports management, but more of turf grass. So
Okay.
I wanted to. I had worked at the park district in Camarillo, through high school and my junior college when I was going to Moorpark College, and ended up transferring to Chico. But yeah, no. Spent 4 months out there, but I got my turf grass management from Penn State, bachelor's degree from Chico, and but yeah, no, it was just something I wanted to do. And my wife and if I could retire there, if I didn't have 3 kids, we'd be retiring there and calling it quits there. But
Hmm.
I got a long way from that for that.
Well, again, going back to when you, as a passion, right? Like, I mean, people ask me all the time, what are you going to do when you retire? I'm like, I'm just going to keep teaching karate. There's no retiring from that. When you love what you do, although both of us, being out in landscaping and doing physical labor, and me being on the mat, like at some point our bodies might start breaking down a little bit, but
Yeah,
we'll do it as long as we can, right?
of
Um,
course, of
and
course.
you mentioned Moorpark College graduate or Moorpark College attendee.
So yeah, that's where I met my wife. We were both transferring to Chico. Neither of us knew it at the time, but yeah, spent 2 years out there, and got all my transfer credits so that I could make it so it was a little less expensive for me when going to the 4 year. So
Right. Well,
uh, yeah,
go Moorpark, go Raiders, right?
yes, exactly.
Hey, Judy is asking, and by the way, hi Lauren. Lauren Ashley is watching. Judy's asking, Richard, what's your favorite part of the job?
I think getting to be able to connect, with my clients, coming out, because a lot of times, my clients don't really, they know they want an outdoor kitchen. I'm going to say, kind of with you, or, they have, general ideas, and it's hard to vision, what's going on. So sometimes, whether it's with a can of paint, a shovel, whatever it may be, I try to, help them envision it, and I can get it up and draw it up, and we can get our architect involved. But a lot of times, that's the funnest part for me is taking someone's, whether it's a vision this big or they've got drawn up plans, and being able to say, what, here's where you get to spend the rest of your evenings, dinners, a lot of time out. And that's probably my favorite part, is being able to see the look on my clients' faces when, as we're progressing through projects.
Well, I can say that, when we had our first conversations about our backyard, it was kind of, we want this over here and this over there and this over there. And that was kind of like it. We didn't have drawings. We didn't really have a whole lot. And you and I have talked about this. You have such a vision for what it's going to look like after it's done. Whereas like, I was kind of thinking about it, but I can't really see it. And then you asked me after everything was all done, is it everything you thought it would be? And I couldn't really say yes, because it was more than what I thought it would be. It was a lot better than what I thought it was going to be, because I just couldn't see it. So I think that that's a unique talent of yours, because in a lot of ways, what you do is art, right? You're able to kind of paint the picture for people and help them to see something much grander than they might be able to see.
And you saying what you just did, this is why I do what I do. Because that just, I don't have any hair, but I got goosebumps, and their hairs would be standing up, if they were there. But this is why I got into it at the end of the day, just because, working on my place and how much I've been able to enjoy, my place with my kids and family. I just want to push it and, build lasting memories for all.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what we talked about. We want to be able to spend just as much time out in the backyard or area, as much as we can, as the inside. And sometimes it's even nicer to be outside when the weather is like this.
Well, we're in Southern California, so we are blessed with beautiful weather. So,
Yeah.
we've got that in our, all year round. So.
Absolutely. And Judy says that she enjoys seeing the progress during your jobs on your Facebook page. And I will comment that you do a great job of highlighting your work on your Facebook page. You've done some great videos and some before and afters. That's super cool. When people can see that, it helps them to kind of understand a little bit more, because at the end of the day, like, I would typically think landscaping, okay, cool, grass and plants. Like, that's just in my mind, I'm going to see grass and plants. Hardscape, I'm going to see concrete. But the artistic side of that can really only, be in someone's mind like you, or in the pictures that you share with everybody. So I think, again, you're doing a great job with the Facebook page on that.
Well, I'm going to say a lot of that comes, we've been coming to the Chambers events that they've had, where I've been to a couple of those where they're showing us, whether it's the videos, this, that. I know the first time they said, hey, you got to do some videos. I'm like, no. And, a few ums in here and there, which you're probably going to hear today too. But hey, we're all trying to work on and better ourselves. And, but definitely, with the Chambers helping with those, nightly, once a month, I think they've got the media events that are great. So,
well, and that's a real quick shout out to Sean Nelson, who is our, social media professional, who helps everybody just kind of step up their game when it comes to social media. So thank you, Sean, for all you do. And for those of you that are watching, if you are a member of the Chamber of Commerce, we do have these monthly events where you can come and learn how to, up your social media game. So definitely would love to invite you. And if you're not a member, once a quarter, we invite everybody that, just the entire community come in and for this free seminar. So, I want to ask you this, and I get asked this a lot. How do you balance running a growing business while staying present for your family and involved in the Moorpark community?
That's kind of a funny one, I'm going to say. I think it's a constant battle. I think we go, as a business owner, we go through constant weeks where we're just, just breathing through a straw, trying to keep our head above water. And then, we come out on top and we have a good week and, a great project, and it's like, okay, but it's on to the next. It's not like we get to sit around. So one of the things I've done, I'm pretty much try to cut it off, more recent, at 5 o'clock, and I'm there present, with my kids. I am a tough one to shut off my brain. So I'm usually back at it after we put the kids to sleep. But, my Saturdays and Sundays, Saturdays, I get my crews going in the morning, and then I'm, hanging out with the kids. Sunday, we're always going to church, and we're making sure that we've got these times. Every night we're sitting down at dinner time. How was your day? What happened good? What happened bad? So, we're constantly being able to, stay with the family and building those traditions that, hopefully someday, my kids will want to carry on. And even if it's as simple as sitting down for dinner every night, but I know I used to do that as a kid, and, whether it was Taco Tuesday or pizzas on Friday or whatever it may be, it's things we remember that, it's just time with our family.
Totally.
So, no,
Yep.
but it's a constant battle, not something that I can say I've mastered by any means. My wife could say the same, because there's a lot of nights where I'm like, is it dinner time? And I give my wife, she does a lot for our kids. So, it's a constant battle.
It is. Listen, it is tough. The balance is tough. My kids fortunately are a little bit older now, and I think the best way that we can balance that family time is just hire them. When your kids are older, just hire them, let them work in the business. You'll always have family time. And I mean, that's just kind of my wife, like you and your wife, you kind of run the company together. I'm sure your wife does a lot of stuff behind the scenes that nobody really knows about.
Mhm.
And that's what makes it, a little bit more of a balance, because we are entrepreneurs and we are, small business owners, which is different than us going in and working for a corporation. So yeah, it is a unique one, and sometimes it's not a matter of balancing; it's a matter of juggling, right?
Yeah, I'll go with that. A lot of the times I got to say, yeah, it was yesterday. I needed to go to and we'll do like family dump days. My kids love it. They get to dump the trailer. I'll tell
Yeah.
you, she wouldn't go for it on Mother's Day yesterday. I'm like, honey, we can make a family day out of a dump day. It could be fun, and she's like, no. And I'm like,
Nope. Yeah.
okay.
Well, hey, listen, real quick, shout out to Kara because she's watching, and she
Uh-oh.
said that Max is going to take over in no time. So sounds like you're set there.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, I got Rylan. She drew up your plans for the city of Moorpark there. So my
Okay.
6-year-old. So
Perfect. I love it. I love it. Hey, what are some common misconceptions people have about landscaping or outdoor renovations?
So I'm gonna say a misconception when it comes to like landscape, just in landscaping, planting, new grass or whatever it may be. A lot of people want to just snap their finger and have a new yard. I'll tell you, I can do that, but there's a lot of work that comes involved with that, whether it's spraying out the existing weeds, removing the proper amount of soil before you're adding gravel to your planters. So there's a lot more prep work that is involved than just to having a beautiful yard. So could I build it off your existing soil, and then your levels and grades don't look okay, and would your typical homeowner maybe not see it? Yeah, maybe. But at the end of the day, I like to come in and I explain that to my clients when I'm coming through, is that, hey, I'm going to be removing 3 inches of soil so that when I come in and put my gravel, I'm at grade in this area. I'm spend $1 seed and $5 prep.
Yep.
So a lot of people want to spend $5 for their plant and $1 for their prep. Well, I'm back, and that's backwards to me, because I can grow the seed if I've got the prep there. So that's one of the things that I think that a lot of people say, well, can I be done tomorrow? Well, yeah, I could have it done for you tomorrow, but you're going to be calling me in 3 or 4 years, because, I got to check irrigation. I got to run drains. I got to do this, that. So,
Right.
and
Well,
I'm going to say that's where I kind of try to like to phase projects together for people that, hey, if we're doing this or that, yeah.
Well,
So
it's like painting your house, right? I mean, painting at least painting the inside, but painting the outside. I mean, you talk to any painter, he's going to tell you they're going to spend way more time on the prep than they are rolling the paint out. It's just that,
exactly.
and that's what it is, right? And as an example, we had some plans for our yard, and then we run into these little snags here and there. Oh, there's a palm tree there we didn't know about. Oh, this pipe or this. Yeah, oh, we got to run that. Then you're dealing with the city on some different things that you got to make sure are just right. I mean, yeah, people definitely want things done a whole lot faster, and that's just kind of how we are. But like you said, there's a lot of prep work that goes into it. There's a lot more that's involved than just throwing down some sod and getting ready for concrete is not just like you're not just going to pour it and you got to form
Exactly.
it. You got to prep the soil, all the stuff.
Exactly. At the end of the day, I want to protect my clients' investments, and that should be my job because you can come in and Mickey Mouse a lot of the work, and it may look good for a good amount of time, but then we get our first good rain or whatever it may be, and you're just kind of it's starting to show its face. So
Well, and that's what helps set you apart as a professional. I mean, listen, there's a lot of landscaping companies out there, right? There's a lot of karate schools out there. There's a lot of restaurants out there, and it's like you got to look at the value, and you got to look at the experience, and you got to look at the professionalism, and you got to look at and you got to go with the best of the best. And so people always want cheap. Well, I'm not the cheapest in town, that's for sure. You're not the cheapest in town, and I don't want the cheapest. To me, I'm looking for quality. I want the absolute best. This is for my family. This is for years to come. When you start cutting corners, it may save you now, but it's going to cost you later, right?
Exactly, exactly. It's going to cost you twice as much the second time I have to see it. You
Right.
know, but and that's what we try to avoid. And even if it's conversations with clients, you know what I mean, to check up on things, you know what I mean. That's what I'm here for too. You know what I mean. It's just kind of spread. There's a lot to know about it, and a lot of people want a couple different quotes. And do I like being the fifth or sixth quote? No, but at the end of the day, they're just trying to educate themselves on what's going on. And if you've got a couple wishy-washy guys that are coming in, well, I'd be getting a second quote or a third quote or a fourth
Hmm.
quote. So if you're going to be spending $5,000, $10,000, whatever it may be, doing an outdoor kitchen, then you want to make sure you're taking care of it, at the end of the day. And I know my company, that's why I went off on my own. I wanted to make sure my clients to be able to know, from the start of our conversation is that they get to go to sleep at night and know that everything was done right, no corners cut or anything like
Hmm.
that. They got a quality projects that it's going to last them for years to come.
Well, and I'll just also add, you know, you and your guys, the personalities have to be a good fit too, right? I mean, that for me was probably my favorite choice about having you guys come and do work with us. I mean, we would be chatting every morning, not always about the job, it just kind of feeling that personality mesh a little bit, and having someone, again, when it comes to business, we like to do business with people we know, like, and trust. And
Mm-hmm.
those are three very important factors. And I think you bring all of those. So, hey, a couple more people watching here. Here's Jackie chiming in. It hasn't been mentioned, but Richard is so amazing at communicating throughout the entire job. That was such a breath of fresh air. And Richard, I probably told you this, but my dad was in construction. My brother's in construction. I've worked with a lot of contractors, and there's some that communicate, and there's some that don't. And you were always really good about letting us know, okay, here's what's to expect today. Here's what's to expect by the end of the week. The timeline was pretty spot on. It wasn't dragging on. We had a little rain before we started, but out of our control. But that's definitely something that we appreciated as well.
Of course, of course. No, that's awesome.
And we got Alyssa. Alyssa's watching, and she loves seeing the great work you do. Keeping Moorpark beautiful. That's awesome. You need to add that somewhere into your tagline right there. Keeping
I
Moorpark
love it.
beautiful. Awesome. Hey, next question. This may be the last question, and so if anybody is still watching live, Please let us know if you have any questions or anything that you'd like to add for Richard. This could take a little bit though. If you could design the ultimate dream backyard for your own home, which we know never happens when you're in the business, your house is always the last to take care of. What would it include and why? If you could design the ultimate dream backyard for your own home, what would it include and why?
So I think my wife would say I'm probably the biggest kid out of the, my three kids with my 6, 5, and 2-year-old. I'm probably the biggest kid. So, I've done pretty well on, with the features. Our project, when we got our project going, I had, a little bike track for the kids. My neighbors must have thought I was crazy, but they were coming off my side slope, and I'm out there. But I gotta say, just I'm an entertainer. I love, just seeing the joy on my kids' face and things like that. So, my wife and I, we built a playhouse in the back. It's a small park, some people say, and it was in six. It was on a pallet, and it was 6 boxes, and it was 3 men. It said 3 men, 48 hours to put it together. Well, it took my wife and I, and all of that time, but I kind of did my project in stages. So where my playground is, eventually I can see a pool there. So as the kids grow up, I've got a pool there, potentially zip line coming off, the side slope, with a cool water slide coming around. But I've kind of, as my house, I've done it in kind of phases, because I ran out of money halfway through my through my project, and was like, all right, let's put this on brakes. And yeah, I could see a pool. I want my house to be, we're coming over, I'm doing pizzas on Friday nights, in the pizza oven. So any way to entertain, is the way I see it. I've got a big RV side on the area where we've got the kids roller coaster thing set up. So, but I'm going to say in the next, hopefully 10 years, I could see our pool and a few other fun things going in the backyard.
Well, that's
But
kind of
just,
the cool part of it, right? As you have young kids, as they grow up, the vision changes, the toys change, right?
exactly.
And so that, yeah, you're gonna get to evolve over the next 20, 30, 40 years, decades, right? So
Yep.
very cool.
And one of the cool things about my crew, we can do slides, all kinds of things like that. So, kind of, with us, my hardscape and landscape guys, the opportunities are, pretty endless. So, I see that pizza oven. Yes. And we could, find a
I
spot,
shouldn't even
somewhere, but
I shouldn't have even put that on the screen. I'm insane for putting that on the screen, but I couldn't leave it off.
I love it.
As if we need more going in this
Exactly.
backyard. Hey,
Exactly.
Richard, is there anything we haven't talked about yet, or anything that you'd like to let people know about your business? Now's your time to shine, and just kind of let everybody know anything else about your business.
Just I'm going to say a solid landscape and hardscape company. If you want things done, right. And I'm a man. If something's not right, well, I'm going to be back to fix it. I'm building, I'm building myself in this community. And that comes with backing, and I want to be here to take care of people, and answer questions when I can, and just know that, at the end of the day, that your project's going to be done right. Yeah, no, I appreciate your time having me on here, Jason. It's been great. And it was fun to work on your project with you and Jackie. You guys have been, I hope all clients are, the way you guys are as we move forward. But, at the end of the day, it's great. And thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. Well, I can definitely vouch for you as everything you said, doing it right, doing it clean, good communicator, all the things. I would highly recommend you, and have highly recommended you to several friends. As a matter of fact, I think there's some Facebook posts going around, and there's some comments I see people saying all the time, I need you to call me, I need to get with you, need to get a project started. So I'm excited to see that continue to build and continue to grow for you. And just want to remind everybody that's watching, please follow Moorpark Chamber of Commerce on Facebook and Instagram, and go follow Richard at Clean Concepts Landscape and Hardscape on Facebook and Instagram too.
Facebook, Instagram, and we've got our website also. So Clean Concepts.
What is the website?
Cleanconceptslandscape.com.
Cleanconceptslandscape.com. Simple and easy. Guys, go check it out. If you need any work, give Richard a call. He's easy to find, and you'll see him at the chamber events. I hope to see all of you at our next chamber event. Coming up this Thursday, actually, we have our Topic on Tap. And that's going to be a great event where the discussion is going to revolve around the education or state of education. We have 3 amazing guests. We have Dr. Julius Sokanu from Moorpark Community College. We also have Selena Zacharias from Cal State University Channel Islands. And then we have Dr. Kelly Hayes from Moorpark Unified School District. You could submit your questions that you would like to be asked to info@moorparkchamber.com, and we can ask your questions, and we'll be asking a lot more questions during the event. It is live and in person at the Alley, so you can join us on Thursday night. If you have any questions, please let me know. Other than that, Richard, any last thoughts?
No, really. Thank you for having me. And, looking forward to seeing, you and the rest of the community out there.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, listen, go out and enjoy it. It's a beautiful day. We are Moorpark Chamber of Commerce. We're a small town, but big on business. Guys, we'll catch you on the next one. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.